love the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food, Henry's soul food. What do you need? Soul food. Henry's soul food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com.
This event. Congratulations will have you lucky start as Virginia Berry White on consistently bringing national talent to the Palmetto State.
Hi, I'm Virginia Berry White.
Hello everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Milo, how are you today? Hello, Milo.
Hello, hello.
Just have to make sure you're hearing your brother. I want to make sure you're hearing your brother. Is Horace Cooper on the line? You know, Milo, for a brief moment, however brief it is, for a brief moment, Milo, I seriously thought that the U.S. economy was improving. Now, let me let you know why I felt this, because I know you're an intelligent man, you're a well-read man, you're a businessman, you understand finances, you understand the economy. So I have to be very careful when I'm speaking in your arena, especially an arena that you understand better than most. The reason why I had this period where I thought the economy was improving was that it was based on manufacturing numbers, the fact that the GDP growth was revised upwards, and the mainstream media kept telling us and advising us there was a turnaround. I said, okay, maybe we're on to something. So I started believing it. Plus, I was doing pretty good on the stock market. Stocks kept soaring. I said, well, maybe we're doing okay. But unfortunately, Milo, my opinion was seriously revised on Friday when the unemployment numbers were released. You know, while unemployment dropped from 7.4 to 7.3%, the cause of the drop was quite peculiar. It was about people leaving the labor force, and the labor participation rate dropped. So the labor force, Milo, participation rate, believe it or not, is the lowest it has been since women started entering the workforce in great numbers back in the 80s. Now, a further investigation of the quality of American jobs also dampened my enthusiasm about how desperately I wanted to believe that our economy was recovering. And sad to say, Milo, most of the increase in jobs were low paying service and part-time jobs. What do you say?
Well, Armstrong, that shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, the job numbers for the last couple of years have always been distorted by a number of variables, the least of which has been the number of people who have just acquiesced and become disenfranchised and left the potential employment rosters. So the numbers never reflect accurate data, especially when they are being presented in an effort to suggest an improvement in the environment. Unfortunately, the job market reflects the economy from two perspectives. It reflects business expansion and contraction, and then it also reflects personal loss. And in the case of the current economic environment, we're suffering from influences from both sides.
So you've always also reached the same conclusion.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any other more reasonable one out there. I mean, the reality of it is that, in a sense this year you always see an increase in employment. Why? Because the federal government goes out and hires a bunch of part-time people to collect census data. And that adds 100,000, 200,000 jobs for 6 months. But they're low-paying jobs. The other thing that the unemployment numbers do not accurately reflect is people who are underemployed or who have changed jobs and gone from full-time positions to part-time positions. Because what it reflects is people that are working, period. So a number in the suggesting a recovery in the job market is a gross number of people who are paying income tax. It doesn't speak to what percentage each one of those people is paying relative to their previous year of employment. And it doesn't speak to whether or not they are working full-time or part-time. And then now with, Obamacare, the job numbers are going to be even less accurate because employers are going to be contracting their employment numbers to get their FTE values below the minimum requirements to be compliant with Obamacare.
Why do you think, and I know this is something that you contemplate often, but, obviously we're not there yet. But I remember earlier this summer when President Obama was in Illinois, he reiterated a promise he made in 2005 as a freshman senator that he was going to create new opportunities for the nation's beleaguered middle class. I was really struck by that. And I know that we're not there yet. We all know that. We know there's a lot of work that must get done. And even though our businesses are creating new jobs and some things have broken record profits, nearly all the income gains of the past 10 years have not continued to flow to the middle class. So obviously, why do you think the middle class is being so squeezed in this economy more than anyone else? And can we change that score?
Oh, how do I simplify it? The middle class is always the one who gets squeezed. And it's not unique. I mean, it's been that way since we've had a three-class system. What's happening is that the middle class is getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and we're seeing a paradigm shift where there's a greater percentage of people that are upper class and a greater percentage of people that are lower class. The middle class is always the statistical mean, and the statistical mean is always going to be the first to reflect any change in any number. So, I mean, it just makes logical mathematical sense that the middle class is going to be the first to get squeezed with any, fluctuation in the economy. And I think the experience that we're having right now supports that logic.
Well, there's no doubt they're getting squeezed and hit more than anybody else. But that does not bode well for the economy.
No, it doesn't, because the middle class is really the class that always drives the economy as well.
And now the economy is driving the middle class.
And now the economy is driving the middle class. But, Armstrong, if I might, I'd love to shift gears with you on this for a second before our guest gets in. I've been watching everything going on with the whole Syria discussion.
We're going to come to that when our guest comes on.
I'm sorry?
Oh, that's what we're going to talk about when we get our guest.
Well, I understand. I'd like to get on something before we get there.
It's not Syria, is it?
Huh?
It's not Syria, is it?
Well, no, it's not really Syria as much as it is our current political environment.
Go ahead, please, by all means.
And in this day and age, we see it occurring as a result of Syria. But what is the public opinion? What is your opinion of what we're seeing going on here, where the American Congress is not appropriately supporting or respecting the office of the presidency on the global stage?
What does that mean?
What is the impact do you think that's going to have on
explain
the
to me what
global
you're talking about.
Well, we right now, Syria's leaders believe that the president won't issue an attack because the Congress won't get behind him. And we see if the vote was held today, 247 congressmen would vote against. What message is our Congress sending to our enemies when they present to the world that we are so fractionalized in our own country?
It's the same message that the United Kingdom is sending with Cameron.
Yeah.
It's the right message. We have no business in Syria.
The issue is not Syria, for instance. That's not really the issue that I'm discussing.
That is the issue they would be voting on.
The issue is that the President of the United States is being weakened on the global stage.
Because by whom? The Congress or by himself?
I would say the Congress.
How?
I would say our Congress is sending a very bad message.
Wait a minute. You're really confusing me. Are you telling me that despite you have the American people, the will of the people, democracy, your constituency is telling you we do not want to go into Syria? We've learned from others we don't want to go into Syria. It's overwhelming, over 70%. And you're telling me that these members of Congress should usurp the power of the people and decide for themselves what they want to do going into Syria? You saying ignore the will of the people?
That's not what I'm suggesting at all.
I'm just trying to figure out what you're suggesting.
What I'm suggesting is that the position of Congress should be to have a quiet discussion.
They did.
This should not be a conversation being held on, a global phone. This should be a private conversation.
How can you hold a private session with 535 members, given the state of the media today, Milo? We're going to come. I want to have this conversation.
We've done that half a dozen times in history.
Okay. We're going to have this conversation. I'm baffled again. I tell you, Milo, beautiful guest. He continues to push the envelope and surprise us. We're coming back. Don't go away.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back. I think I'm back. Milo?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So, Milo, I was just sitting here reflecting on what you're saying. So even if our commander-in-chief is wrong, Congress should become an enabler?
No, I think you're missing the point.
Well, I'm going to listen. Help me understand your point.
My concern is twofold. And for the moment, we're really not talking about Syria. We're talking about a function of protocol and practice in this country. When Clinton went into Kosovo, we went and had private discussions with Congress, and he discussed with Congress what he was going to do. He took key leaders and discussed with them and rallied their support before the public discussion began, so that when we are speaking publicly on the national stage, that we have a singular voice. The President of the United States is not an individual; it's an office. And the President of the United States is supposed to have the single final voice that represents this country on the global stage. And what is happening right now is disturbing, because whether you're support or against Syria, it's secondary to the fact that we don't have a single voice. And that divisiveness is an opportunity for our enemies to exploit. That's what I'm responding to.
I was just thinking, it's interesting. Look, so you're not making an argument that we should go in Syria. How do you define showing and strengthening the president and his leadership by Congress?
Well, I think one thing we do is I think we need a traditional leadership like we had in years past, where the minority and majority whips in Congress get out up and go to the president's office and say, here's what the tone in the House is. And we understand that this is something you'd like to do. This is the position that we have. We need to come up with how we're going to present on the global stage. And then the both sets of the House stand behind the president on the lawn when he delivers his delivery and says what he's going to do. But that way, you don't have a president that appears undermined by his own, congressional body, and that's really what concerns me. We are looking very weak on the global stage right now, and we're looking fractionalized, and that is the greatest threat to national security than anything.
I don't know, Milo. Sometimes I think that we're spread too thin globally. I don't know if the suggestions you have that we could take immediately to turn our own economy around.
Well, our economy is reflecting what's happening around the world. I don't know why America feels that it should be insulated from the same things that are affecting Greece and Spain and France. It's the same thing affecting us, and it's our own fault. We're an over-leveraged people. The average American with a credit card has $20,000 worth of credit card debt. That's absurd. It shouldn't be. And the expectation that our economy is going to turn around, for most of any of our lives, 1 and 2 generations back, the economy was driven by real estate, and disproportionately so residential real estate. And I have multiple houses. Both of my homes are worth less than they were 10 years ago. So how can the economy be going north when most Americans' wealth is tied to their homes?
We know the answer to that. Everyone does not have the same level of skills or ambition. They don't work the same. I think America, while it does a good job, some people you just can't be allowed to give everything to without it being tied to something that has to do with work ethic and self-worth.
Well, what specifically you're suggesting there? Are we becoming socialists now? Is that what you're suggesting?
Whatever works, Milo. I know we're in a dire need situation. Desperate. We need to toss a Hail Mary and hope you catch it. It doesn't bother you, all this activity we have in the Middle East going on?
I'm sorry, the activity we have where?
In the Middle East.
Of course it bothers me. You know, you know my position on this is well documented. My big challenge with the Middle East is that I don't feel we're dealing with a rational population, and as such, I don't know how to deal with somebody when you can't even get the baseline for a dialogue. How you can expect to negotiate with somebody, or to find an accord.
Do you think the dialogue has worsened over the years? If so, why?
Well, I think the dialogue has worsened over the years, fundamentally because of radical Islamic beliefs. I think it has deteriorated because of a disproportionate dependence on foreign oil. We've made a lot of relatively undeveloped nations exceedingly wealthy, and like any spoiled child, they act out. And I hate to suggest that every Middle Eastern nation is a spoiled child, but in the scope of things, when you consider developed societies, the greater majority of the nations in the Middle East are underdeveloped relative to the Western world.
But the projects that you're speaking of are not of the same magnitude.
Well, I think they are, Armstrong. I think they're fundamental. When people don't have fundamental respect for every member of their community, when women are subjugated to being second-class citizens and denied education in a systematic effort to limit their ability to interface within the context of their own culture, I think those practices speak to a bigger problem. We're dealing with a leadership, a male leadership, whose psychology is underdeveloped. We're dealing with primitive people who have primitive thoughts, who are fundamental in their thinking, and are not looking to evolve and grow and join the global community. They want to retain their isolation. And quite frankly, my position is let them. Let them, live in the dark ages if that's what they want. But don't support it by buying oil from them. America needs some very clear policy in place.
Let me get Horace's input. He's finally joining us. Horace, welcome to the show. Your thoughts on what you're hearing?
Yeah, I just did an hour-long interview on Al Jazeera with P.J. Crowley, who is an advocate of the very kind of international fecklessness that we've been witnessing from the White House. Instead of understanding just how badly the decisions have been made on our end, and understanding how important it is for the American government to be resolute, precisely because there are so many bad actors in that particular region. Instead of that, Mr. Crowley came forward with the idea that this was a wonderful outcome if Mr. Putin's proposal could be found to be sound, and that is that the United Nations is going to take charge of this situation, that the chemical weapons initiative is going to be turned over to them, and besides the lion laying with the lamb, everything will just be amazing. What we will see in a year, if we have not resolved this problem, that it was a mistake for the president to come to Congress and ask for this for permission, only because he hadn't made the case to the American people or to Congress that any action was necessary. If the case can't be made, if he's unable to persuade the American people and the Congress, then perhaps he ought to reconsider his position on the issue. But all in all, I have considered this amateur hour watching a president who hasn't really focused well on these kinds of issues, who brags about leading from behind, and watching the people who are terrible actors in the region, Assad just being one among several, act with impunity, mock us even, and continue the abysmal mistreatment of their own people. That is going to continue based on what I've seen so far with the initiative that's been going forward.
Milo, you care to comment?
I agree. It's going to continue. And, I don't know that any of the reasons presented are the exclusive ones, but they all, play a contributive role to the overall process.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Milo.
The difficulty in that region of the world, Armstrong, is as America tries to interface with the Middle Eastern nations, we try to do so on our terms. And we're dealing with a population that fundamentally does not function, think, or value that which we do. So the expectation that we're going to arrive at an accord is irrational. It makes no sense.
Let me go to Randy on the line. Randy, thank you for calling. Randy?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on the air.
Oh, this is Rodney.
Rodney, yes.
Hey, Armstrong. I don't know where to begin, but I'm loving this show. But I think the President Obama came out looking good, because just like I told you last week, we didn't know whose side to be on.
Hold that point, Randy. Rodney, we're coming back to you with Horace, okay. Milo Pickney. Don't hold there. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Hi, Mike Reagan here. The president has just delayed his Obamacare employee mandate for 1 year. But nothing has changed. The Congressional Budget Office still predicts 7 million Americans will lose their current insurance, and thousands of rules are being implemented today. Obamacare is over 20,000 pages, almost 3 times longer than the whole IRS tax code. Worse, the IRS is now in charge of enforcing the law. You need to protect yourself, your family, and your business with the easy-to-read guide. It's called the Obamacare Survival Guide, already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax calls it the best guide to the new law. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide today at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, it's always good having Horace Cooper and Milo Pickney together. Just two outstanding intellectual giants in this country. And I'm not flattering them. It's just what it is. You know, Horace, I'm gonna paint a picture for you. We have a president. I'm gonna paint a picture.
Okay.
We have a president who was bent on going into Syria. Congress was not even in the equation. And then all of a sudden, Congress is in the equation. A president didn't want to have anything to do with Russia, and all of a sudden, Russia is in the equation. It seems to me that you could make the case that the president never had any intentions of a strike against Syria. He was only appeasing the allies where he had lost so much credibility, and he wanted Congress and Putin to give them a way out, and he almost knew that Congress would not approve it, and especially the American people. I don't want to become a conspiracy theorist here, but I just think that this happened too neatly. And even Kerry saying there's a way that Syria can avoid a U.S. attack, and then they mention Russia as if that had been discussed.
Well, I'm not going to say that that's not possible. What I am going to say is, if the president was serious about Syria, where he finds himself today can only be the result of a lack of preparation, a lack of determination, and what I've been calling an experience of amateur hour. The rug's just been pulled right out from under him. Mr. Crowley today was arguing that we will now go back to the United Nations, start a process over, but this time we're going to expect a better outcome. But in the event that we don't get that better outcome, he'll start back over with Congress, and there he should expect it. It is exactly like calling day night and night day. Here's where we are. The American people are paying more attention about Syria than they have before in quite some time. What they're hearing doesn't persuade them that there's some action that the American government ought to take. It's the president's job, if he wants to get Congress on board, to persuade the American people. Whatever evidence, whatever information, whatever arguments that need to be marshaled, they need to be. So people say, well, just show the video. The problem with the video is there was video almost 2 years ago. Whatever killing, maiming, and harming that is terrible today was just as terrible 2 years ago.
Yes.
And 2 years ago, we didn't think to act. We didn't think it was important to take any steps. We didn't think a congressional authorization was necessary. So whatever arguments that he needs to bring, I don't know what those arguments are, but he's got to figure them out. And I look today and I say, he hasn't figured those arguments out. He doesn't appear to be all that serious. And maybe, Armstrong, you're right. It was never his desire to take any action whatsoever. But here's the issue. Iran's leadership is watching. They see what fecklessness that we've been doing in Syria. If you think the butcher in Syria is a problem, Iran with nuclear capability is a nightmare. We don't have the wherewithal to use mere rhetoric and negotiation to address the Iran problem, and that problem has been made worse by what's happening with Syria.
Rodney, I'm sorry, I forgot about you. Please continue.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to finish saying was, your guest there, he's saying that it's like amateur hour or so, but I remember telling you, Armstrong, last week, and I'm not no expert or nothing like this, but I did serve over there in the first Desert Storm, Desert Shield. And the thing is this, we didn't know who did the strike, whether it was with the nerve gas or the chemicals 2 years ago, or was it done yesterday? But I'm not going to say it was a brilliant chess move and all this kind of stuff, but a few days ago, we didn't know whose side to be on. We were just riding the fence. And until we said, we're going to strike, if, whoever done the chemical weapons, whoever killed these people, we are going to strike your Syrian government. Then all of a sudden, Russia's like, okay, we'll take their, chemical, and, the leader of Syria, we'll give up our chemical weapons. That right there was a brilliant move for him to say, okay, now we know who we have to actually go after. As these people who actually killed those people, the children and the women, and let's see whether the people want another government. Now, we're saying that the Middle East, is on fire. And I told you last week, Armstrong, that Morocco may be next, Bahrain, they tried to overthrow Bahrain, and apparently that didn't fail. Well, those people over there do not want to progress. For some reason, they've been on the earth longer than just about anybody else on this earth. That's just their way of life. And if the Western people want to enjoy the desert sand and the hot sand and stuff, they already made a place for us, which is Dubai, which is an economic failure.
Okay, well, Randy, thank you for your perspective, and thank you for calling. Milo?
I got nothing to add, Armstrong. Hello.
Okay, I'm here. We're here, Milo.
Yeah. We're in dire times, and frankly, I think we're all talking about the wrong thing.
Okay, what should we be talking about, Milo?
I think we should be talking about where we are in this country's development, where the global stage is, and what's going to be the byproduct of all this rhetoric.
Well,
We have an out-of-control leader in Syria.
What's that noise? What's that noise, guys? Okay.
I'm not hearing it.
Go ahead, Milo. We have an out-of-control.
We have an out-of-control leader in Syria. We have a real significant threat in Iran. And we have a real potential exposure in North Korea. And the real message that all this translates into is America has to develop some very solid, consistently deployed international policy on what the terms of engagement with us are going to be. And then we have to make some hard decisions, and we have to recognize that by making those difficult decisions, some potential believable innocents are going to be adversely affected for some period of time. And the reason we're facing everything that we're facing right now is because America is great at the firm non-committal. We want to sit on the fence, and the only thing you get from sitting on the fence is hemorrhoids. You got to act, or elect not to. And whatever you do, you've got to be consistent. And we're sending very inconsistent messages to the Middle East right now.
Horace?
Well, I agree with that. That's exactly what we're doing. And the question is, if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would say that we're doing that intentionally. I can't get in the minds of the advisors to the president. I can't get in the mind of the president. I can only say that the stated goals that the president argues, he is not pursuing them appropriately. He is not pursuing them in a way that would have positive consequences. President Reagan, one of his first actions was to fire the air traffic controllers who were striking. They were federal government employees, and they were in violation of the laws preventing them from going on strike. He fired them. The so-called Verona papers, which were a set of Kremlin intelligence papers that were uncovered after the fall of the Soviet Union, revealed that when the criminologists looked at him, they feared that he meant what he said, that he was prepared to take action, and that there could be serious consequences for not noticing him when he presents his perspective. That led all of the different leaders of the Soviet Union during the 8 years of his administration. What this president is doing is sending the exact opposite. I don't defend Libya. I don't pretend that somehow Gaddafi was a humanitarian. I would say if the President of the United States decided he needed to go, instead of saying he was leading from behind, he needed to stand up, take the pulpit, and tell the American people, these are the 3 reasons why Mr. Gaddafi needs to go. I'm asking him to turn himself in, and we will have him arrested by this day. Otherwise, action will happen. When he then followed through by capturing him or killing him or toppling his government, that was broad ramifications for the rest of the region. That is not what ended up taking place. It was messy here in the United States, and it was messy there. Ultimately, he prevailed, but it didn't send the right signal so that when the rhetoric is upscaled and the president announces Syria, you have passed now a red line. It's just a question of, I've drawn a new line. I'm going to draw a new line. That's the way they see it. The region as it is, for the reasons already outlined, isn't sympathetic to the democratic process, isn't sympathetic.
Hold there, Horace. Hold there, Milo. We're coming back. This is Armstrong Williams. Don't go away.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean, only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Horace, I must tell you, what's not getting enough attention as far as I'm concerned when you speak about leadership is how Boehner, Lindsey Graham, and John McCain and Cantor were so eager to support the president in this mission. I mean, what kind of deal was cut to get the leadership on board so quickly to try to manipulate their sides? Even Pelosi was on board to go forward with this.
Well, I don't know that a deal has to be cut to do something like that.
Whoa. Before, Boehner and Cantor were telling the president, no way, we have no reason to go into Syria. Congress needs to be involved in this. It takes an act of Congress. The president cannot go into Syria without Congress authorizing it. Come on now. Come on.
No. Mr. Boehner issued a statement almost immediately saying, I asked the president to bring the initiative to the House of Representatives. He has agreed to do so. I will not be encouraging members to vote one way or the other. However, I will be supporting the president. In the leadership role that the Speaker and the Minority Leader occupy, it is almost axiomatic that unless you're in open warfare with the president, that you're going to be expected to support the international initiatives of the president. When Mr. Bush was president, Speaker Pelosi had to drag her feet or just sit quietly on her hands on those occasions when there were these international issues. But I would say just the opposite, that by agreeing not to be part of the story, it became obvious to the American people and even to the media, the last to notice, it became obvious that the president hadn't done the job to explain to members of Congress and thus the public why he was doing what he was going to do, and that it was very likely that this was going to fail. I predicted it in 2 hours of the president's announcement that this was coming forward to the House of Representatives, that was the likely outcome. I don't understand why his people couldn't.
Milo, how dangerous do you think the situation is in the Middle East? And were you surprised that Vladimir Putin was elevated as the leader and the person with credibility throughout this?
No. I mean, Putin, I think a lot of people misinterpret Putin. Putin is sharp and a very capable leader. He's managed to reinstate himself in that country. He's of any of the global political leaders, he is by far the wealthiest. I mean, he successfully stole billions of dollars from the Russian people during his last term. This is no dummy. I think he played his deck very well, and he's positioned himself now back on the global stage. And in many respects, he's diminished Obama's global position. So I think Putin's done a wonderful job. If I were representing Putin, I would cheer him on.
Would you like to add a takeaway, Horace? Horace?
Armstrong, I think the other thing that has happened here is, and I think you touched on it, we're in incredibly dangerous times. This situation in Syria and Iran represents probably one of the single greatest threats to American national security in the last 15 years. And everyone's too busy politicking to worry about the real issue. It's really disturbing.
It is very disturbing. I think we lost Horace.
Did we?
I think we lost Horace. And he would have spoken up by now. He probably dropped. Your phone may have died. It sounded like the phone died. In fact, Diedrich said we have lost Horace. Yeah, Milo, these are very dangerous times. They're really volatile. It's a pot of cake.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Horace, are you back? Yeah, Milo, it's a pot of cake. It really is. And we're right in the middle of it, whether we go into Syria or not.
My initial reaction with respect to Syria was, anybody using chemical weapons, especially somebody who is aligned with Iran, who has or is soon to have nuclear capacity, needs to be stopped. That is my principal feeling when it comes to the issue of going into Syria. But I think that what took place here, and I think Putin did an incredible job providing a political solution to the Syria problem. But it doesn't obfuscate the real issue, which is this man used chemical weapons against his own people. And America is in a position where one of our most virulent enemies is next door to him, meaning Iran. And they either are a short period away from nuclear capacity or they have it. We're not exactly sure right now. But a nuclear-capable Iran is a critical threat to American national security. And the close alliance between Iran and Syria presents a very similar threat in my mind.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think the real issue is Iran and not Syria?
In that region, I think Iran right now is the biggest threat to us. Syria doesn't have the military capacity to make any significant threat on America. They could possibly get a dirty bomb here or some exaggerated terrorist attack. But Iran has greater capacity, and Iran's capacity is fortified by the instability of its leadership. You're not dealing with people who are actually thinking about right and wrong. You're dealing with, some real whack jobs over there.
There are a lot of whack jobs, are they not?
They really are. And something, Armstrong, and I know, you and I disagree on this one, but, our nation was crafted by men who had a very clear and solid belief that their individual religious and spiritual values and beliefs should not be permitted to play a role in their political decision-making. They were very clear on that. And we're dealing with people who are radical, fundamentalist Islamics who have corrupted and in many cases distorted the true spirit of that document, and who believe that they are on some divine, God-endorsed mission to eradicate the infidel from the earth. And these people have weapons and military infrastructure, and in many cases nuclear capacity. This is this is not a good time for rational thinking.
So Milo, let's have a little fun in the last 4 minutes of the show. So give us your pluses and minuses on the new iPhone 5S that was revealed today. The iOS 7, iPhone 5C, and 5S.
I carry an iPhone 5, and I saw that the iPhone 5 came out today. It popped up on my application on my iPad, and I didn't even read about it. I could care less. The iPhone 5 has more features and functions than I am currently using or ever likely to use, so upgrading to an iPhone 5 is kind of like hunting squirrels with a howitzer in my book.
Oh, Milo, have a little fun.
Armstrong, I haven't even looked at it.
It has a 4-inch display like the iPhone 5. It has an A6 chip inside, blazing fast performance. The battery is larger than the iPhone 5, which is nice. It boasts an 8-megapixels eyesight camera with a 5-element lens and an IR filter as seen on the 5. And so inside is built with a new construction method that uses a steel reinforced structure that provides incredible rigidity, and it forms the antenna too. It also supports more LTE bands than any other smartphone in the world, 100 Mbps downloads, dual band Wi-Fi 2. It could be the single phone for Apple worldwide. There you
Mazel
go.
tov.
What?
Mazel tov. You know something, Armstrong? I'm with you. I'm giving you a hard time, my friend. But do you remember when you and I were in college, and everybody in those days, the big thing was having the latest and greatest in stereo system, and each new company came out with the latest and greatest, and their stereo had, 0.0005 THD, total harmonic distortion, and that was the measure, and everybody was competing for the biggest number, and the human ear couldn't hear below, 3.0. So there's a point where this stuff becomes ridiculous. Am I going to give up my $800 iPhone 5 to go out and buy an $850 iPhone 5?
No. They've allowed you, whether your contract allows it or not, that you can trade it in at a far lesser price. Oh, no, they changed that.
Not doing it.
But you know what? I got my iPhone about 4 or 5 years ago, and I did not upgrade until last fall.
Yeah, same here. I got my iPhone 5 when the iPhone 5 came out last year.
Right, I never upgraded until then. And I still have the original iPad. I never upgraded. Well, I think if you have the MacBook Pro, the iPhone, and the iPad, one of those devices is just not necessary.
Yeah, the MacBook Pro.
I would say the iPad. I never use my iPad. It's a waste of money.
I use my iPad more than I use my laptop.
And I have 2 of them, and I never use them. Never.
All right, well, then send me the extra one. I could use it.
It's loaded down with pictures and video.
Yeah. You see, all of a sudden you have use for it.
Yes. Milo, you're the best. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Horace Cooper. Tune in to us later on Sirius 110 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Armstrong Williams. This show is produced by Nancy JoJo, soon to be married, MacPhail. She's off the block, guys. Miss Nancy Jones getting married. She's off the block. Girls off the block.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views.